Okay, we'll kick off this March 16th storage provider meetup. Thank you all for coming. So I'm going to lead off this week with just a reminder that the license upgrades from basic to full, if you wanted to pay with SCP, which a number of people have, that offer is still standing until March 31st. So you can go from basic to full upgrade for 2,500 SCP, which is a pretty fair rate at the current market price of that, but that will go for another 2 weeks or so. Other than that, touching on something that we discussed last week, so the 1.5x collateral and all the significance around that. So we have continued to update our guidance and our documentation. We've talked about it in the community for a little bit, so everything that we kind of said we would do. We are still working and kind of making progress on ways we can explore perhaps favoring providers that offer 1.5x collateral, like at a relayer level or a contractor level. So that means if you are willing to stand behind your commitment to being a good, honest host of data, then we're willing to give you a little bit more data. So we're exploring ways to do that. Nothing firm, no like hard details to announce today. But stay tuned in the Discord and the announcements channel. Of course, that's always the best place to stay on top of what's happening. And this discussion will probably continue to go on for another one or two storage provider calls before all the kind of dust settles. But just wanted to let people know that that conversation is continuing, that if you can, and I think most of you probably can, you should be expecting to be able to provide 1.5x collateral. I think it's pretty fair given the market rates. I mean, if you can't afford to keep like $50 worth of SCP on a several $100 or several $1,000 miner, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's too big of an ask, but it's a thing, and making sure that everybody's on the same page about that. So yeah, if you are curious how to actually do that setting of 1.5x collateral, if you're using Supervisor, which I recommend. I mean, Supervisor is great. It stays on top of all the kind of day-to-day minutia for you. Then there will have to be an update that'll come out for that. Details TBD. But if you're kind of wondering, hey, I'm using Supervisor or I have an X miner and I don't really see anywhere to enable that 1.5x collateral, there will be an update that'll come. There will be announcements. You won't miss it. But just make sure that it's on everybody's radar. Also wanted to highlight one of my favorite things going on in the server right now, the outreach channel, which we've highlighted in the last couple of calls. They do have their SCP rig photo contest continuing, so that's actually ending in a week from now, March 23rd. The prize pool, I'm told, is up to 11,000 SCP and 5,000 SPF. There will be bonus prizes or some kind of favoritism toward people who have silly rigs, so like googly eyes, bright lights, anything like that, anything kind of funny. But do vacuum before you take photos and share them in the channel. Seeing dusty storage providers makes my heart sad. So yeah, but lots of great photos already in the outreach channel. Nice to see all sorts of shapes and sizes of people's setups. And then also to see some of the some of the people in the channel try and break down some of what's in the picture. So picking out IKEA desks, that kind of thing. It's good fun. Our server has a laugh. Speaking of fun things going on in our server, you may have noticed in the announcements channel, I hope you did, but I want to give some time and space to it here today, that we have a poker event that's coming up. So it's not this coming weekend, as in the one like a couple days from now. It's the weekend after that. So Saturday and Sunday of March 25th and 26th. Here in the Discord, we'll have a large poker tournament. So far, the couple kind of impromptu poker matches that have happened, they've just been played for like a small amount of SCP coins. Nothing too consequential. But this event that's being hosted and kind of organized by us, there will be some large prizes given out. That the tournament, we're calling it the 2 Papa Bravo for 2 PB of stored data, which is around when we expect to hit that milestone. So there will be lots of prizes given out. The address that has a claim to 100,000 SPF that I'm trying to remember the details of. I think around the holidays when SPF were being announced, we did a sale on X miners around the new year and around the holidays, and one of those X miners has a claim to 100,000 SPF, so we're going to be announcing that at that event, so don't miss that. One of you may be sitting on a pretty large amount of tokens, so that'd be awesome. So don't miss that. Join our Discord, take part if you can. If you can just make one of the days even, that'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, just a little bit of community building. I had never played poker before, and I still joined one of the events that took place. It's online, so it kind of tells you what your moves that you have available are. So even if you don't know how to play poker, just give it a try anyway. What's the worst that could happen? You might pick it up faster than you might expect. Also wanted to illustrate or highlight, if you hadn't seen it already, there's a new homepage on the SC Prime website. So go check that out. I think hopefully it matches everybody's expectations for a tech website in 2023. I think it looks pretty great. Highlights a lot of our strengths. Looks visually clean. So go check that out if you haven't. And also pretty exciting, for the next 30 days on Exanet services, we are covering all of the data stored. So for the next 30 days free on Exanet services, everyone who has an account already and has uploaded more than 50 gigs to their account, we were already covering the first 50 gigs. But now, since we are, well, for a bunch of different reasons, we're excited to help get people onto the network. We're excited to help hit that 2 Papa Bravo milestone. We are, we're encouraging people to get out there, set up a relayer, start uploading, test it out. If it's something that you've been hearing about, or maybe you tried out once a little while ago and maybe something went wrong, or you weren't super impressed, or you couldn't think of a way to implement it, I challenge you to try it again. And definitely try it again, because we have a major release coming out this coming week. So this will be Relayer 1.4. The current version, I think, is 1.3.1. So this is a major release iteration. Across the board, all sorts of improvements coming. So the UI is pretty significantly reworked. A lot of the under the hood stuff is pretty significantly reworked. And it's all for the better. I've been playing with it for the last couple of weeks. A lot of people on the team and in our Relayer community have been as well. It's in a pretty good place. I'm really excited for people to see this Relayer 1.4.0 version. But I think most people are familiar with the Relayer UI. We are also going to be premiering Relayer Core, which is a kind of CLI, like command line version of the Relayer. So there will be no UI like interaction. It'll just be a command line version. Some people have been asking for that, and there are certainly cases where a headless relayer makes sense. So we'll also be kind of debuting and launching Relayer Core, and then common to Relayer Core and Relayer UI, the underlying Relayer engine has had from our core developers a number of upgrades over the last weeks as well. So this will be faster and kind of improvements to uploads and downloads, memory management improvements, so it's not quite as RAM intensive anymore. But still able to use it very efficiently. So yeah, just upgrades across the board. This is one that you don't want to miss. We're really excited for people to start using it when it launches. I don't think we have a specific day next week, but we'll make some noise when it becomes available. And really excited for people to get using this. And what do you know? The first 30 days, upload all that you want, and it's free for the first 30 days. But do keep in mind, if you don't go too crazy with uploads unless you actually plan to pay for them after the 30 days. There's no free lunch, but at least want to get people started and set up with the relayers. And I really challenge you to do so. And a number of people in the community have taken that call. So another thing that is already, the wheels are kind of turning on. We put out a call to our community to test out different S3 apps that they either have experience with or have a use for. Since there's thousands of S3 apps out there, we wanted to kind of identify maybe 20 to 50 that are most popularly used or most available or most kind of something, and get people in the community that had maybe heard of them, knew a bit about them, had a use for them, to set them up with a relayer and just make a couple page document with some screenshots and as kind of a guide as to how they do that. So a number of community members have actually done a fantastic job of answering that call, and yeah, just wanted to give a huge thank you to those couple people. I think they know who they are, and we're going to thank them more materially as well. Um, for people who have put together those guides, they're already we're sitting on a pretty big wealth of information that we're going to prepare and get out there into the wild, so that when you visit the Exonet Services docs, not only will it have instructions on how to set up a relayer and get that configured properly and running well, but there will also be instructions on how to set up, ideally, a relayer with pretty much any app you might want. But certainly the most common ones are what we're aiming for first. So yeah, it's not too intimidating right now, but it is nice when if you're setting up a relayer with an app that somebody has set it up with before. Just kind of nice to have some instructions to fall back on for maybe if you're not as confident in what you're doing, or you want at least a sanity check, then that'll be a thing. So huge thank you to our community for helping drive that forward. I think that's really awesome to see, really encouraging to see tons of people getting set up with relayers who don't have deep backgrounds necessarily in this kind of field, but are still able to get themselves off the ground, or able to not only help themselves but help others, and that's awesome. I truly believe we have the best community. So I think that's most of the kind of announcements and things that have been happening around the server lately. There are some kind of more general topics that we can discuss a little bit later in the call. Things like maybe what's been going on with the bank sector, some of the Bitcoin and kind of crypto run that has been happening. But we can discuss that maybe in the more open discussion section of the call. What I wanted to get to first is actually that I invited up here on the stage. You can maybe see him now. We have Viking up here. I'll give him a moment to introduce himself in a second, but he is this week's speaker in our storage provider profile series. So I'm going to ask him some questions. He's going to tell us a bit about himself and how he got involved in storage providing. I just wanted to give a warm welcome. Thank you for coming, Viking.
Thank you, Master. I feel like, what was it, Spider-Man, Home Alone, or Home Away? We use our real names or our avatars. But thanks, Henry. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, you call me Master HW or Henry, but I can call you Viking or what if you're comfortable sharing.
Brad.
Or
Brad.
Brad. Okay, thanks for
Brad's
coming
fine.
up, Brad.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Glad to be here. I'm great. I'm great. It's a sunny day in California. Finally, no rain.
Awesome.
Finally, no rain. And I got actually some really good news. My miner was it the miner 2 box just arrived at my house, and I'm at work, so hopefully I get that up online tonight. So that's a new venture I'm going into.
Super. That's the new gold shell miner, right?
Correct, correct. SC box 2 or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Cool. Those
yeah.
those just came out, so that's pretty awesome to already have one not only on the way but actually arrived. All right, Brad. So let's get you oriented here.
Okay.
I'll ask you question number one. How did you discover SC Prime? How did you end up here?
Well, and I'll share that you forwarded the questions, and I listened to the other call where you talked to providers. Last summer, I was on a fishing boat, and people are talking, some of these names. Shibu Inu and all this stuff. I thought they were talking tackle, but they were talking crypto. I'm like, okay, it didn't really interest me too much. Around Thanksgiving weekend, the long week holiday weekend, I was googling around, listening stuff, and I came across Nerdy Dude, and this was before he made the announcement. And there was a couple other projects I had looked at, and I was like really skeptical, like sending $700 off to Bulgaria for a miner that you have to wait, 6 months for. There's a couple other projects, but I stumbled on SCP and XA minor, and that's how I got here.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. 'Cause there's some parts there that probably parallel to a number of people, both in our Discord and our audience, people in our community, that a lot of them did kind of have their interest piqued by other projects and then heard about us through YouTubers. But it's everyone has kind of a personal story of how they got there, maybe what other projects might have been involved with first. So
Right. And this one seemed like there was the altcoins that I like how Foss calls them, the dog coins, which they are. But this is substantive. This is a real thing. And it's, uh, Foss is in Colorado. That's the miners are built in the United States, and it's a tangible asset. I'm kind of a, tech geek, and this fit really well with what I thought, is the future.
yeah, that's awesome to hear and really encouraging, and I think matches a lot of the philosophy in our community that maybe the dog coins maybe have a place, maybe don't. You know, who's to say? The market seems to change its mind every once in a while, kind of switching back and forth. But utility is what really drives kind of compelling use in this space. That's what brings value. It's what's tangible. It's what sells. And so, yeah, thank you for
Absolutely.
thank you for bringing that up. I'll ask you next. What is, if you don't, you can go as generalized or as specific as you want here, but can you tell us a bit about your kind of background or what field you had kind of before
Sure.
getting involved here?
Sure. And, people can see I have my picture up there. Technically, I think I'm a boomer or early generation X. I was 65. So I went to a technical high school, and whether you learn different trades or you're exposed to them. And I chose data processing. And we went to an Apple thing in Boston, and that's when I think it was Macintosh was getting released. So that really, sparked my interest. I later became an electrician. I was in the Marine Corps, and actually, currently, my career has been I work for probably, if not the largest law enforcement agency in the United States for this in California. So seeing this again, had some extra money, and just okay, let's see where this goes. But that's my background. Just a real tech geek, and I like technology. Um, and again, the utility of this project. You know,
That's great. I didn't know all that about you, and so I think it's pretty cool that you obviously have kind of a background in, yeah, you educated in data, worked as an electrician, so you know your way. You're not unfamiliar with a lot of what's going on here, but at the same time,
and
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
if if I could add, like at, at my work right now, we used to have how we manage data was all paper, and I've seen the transition the past 8 years to online. We have secured services and servers in different parts of the state, and now the data can go outside the state. So I was really familiar with, lack of a better word, like AWS format, right? Of how we store and move data. And just the amount of data we generate, it just keeps increasing. And recently we just started a project here where we started an audio video surveillance system for all our positions. So imagine a large institution, cameras on staff, cameras on buildings, and all that video data. So that chart that shows, the zettabytes or whatever it is, that's a real thing. That's going to happen.
Yeah, wow. I I don't think I could have told that story better if I wanted to. You're exactly right that the trend is absolutely going toward and has for the last decade been going toward moving everything into the cloud. And now, yeah, organizations all over the place are coming up with new data that uh, wasn't even a thing before. So yeah, there was originally the transition of documents from paper to digital, and then okay, where do we put all the digital? There's too many. It's too expensive to manage it ourselves, so it got outsourced to these cloud services that have done generally a good job of it, but they are kind of pushing the limits of architecture without a significant change. And I think you hit the nail on the head to kind of recognize that now, even with existing needs, we're kind of pushing the limits of traditional cloud. What's going to happen when, yeah, when there's a video, like a camera and a microphone at every cubicle? Where's all that
Right.
data? Where's all that data going? And
On site, I was told we have like uh, 8 servers with like 4 or 6 20 terabyte hard drives going just for our location. And we're a good size, but I know there's bigger, and it's just we're just one little piece, right?
yeah,
And it's like all the different type of institutions. It's just um, insurance companies, everything like that. It's just amazing what can happen with this.
yeah, that's awesome. And I wanted to commend you for kind of recognizing the direction that things are heading and putting the pieces together to hear that when a project kind of came across your radar, I guess that you were pretty quick to connect. Hey, there is a huge need for cloud services, and I've already kind of seen that in my professional life. Maybe there's something going on here. So I'll
Yeah.
ask you. Can you tell us about what your storage providing setups look like? Do you have a big setup, a small setup? Do you have an
Um,
Xminer, DIY?
yeah, I shared it on what's the other channel, the outreach channel, where we're posting the servers. But right now, I started off last year. I bought one 64 XM miner, and then I this early this year I bought a second 64 terabyte miner, and then I kind of branched out. And I did get a 16 refurbished unit, and then I started. Well, I took advantage of. I love the SCP and XA community XA net Black Friday deals. And then I did a 321. I'm like, well, let me get the D. That's where I got the 16. But I try to stand up, but do it yourself. And I didn't really have too much luck with that, quite frankly. My fault. I wasn't attentive enough in the installation process. First tried Ubuntu. That didn't work well. Then I finally got it going with Windows, and that was a 2 terabyte unit. Um, since then, I actually I bought a I got another 64 terabyte refurbished. Ken's sending me. So I'm looking forward to getting that up. So I'll have 3 64s and a 16. And maybe when I have more time to tinker with it and what I hear on the Windows, it's going to be similar to the XA miner where it will have automatic updates. And then I won't have to babysit it. So then I might be more interested in doing that.
Yeah, that's great. So that the refurb that you got earlier, was that from the drop that happened like a week or two ago?
Yeah, the latest refurb, yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something that I debated
Those are
kind of
great buys.
yeah, I debated including that in the announcements earlier in the call or not, because I they're all sold out now. But yeah, if you stay tuned and you keep an eye on the announcements channel, yeah, every so often we do announce that there are refurb units available. They're pretty deeply discounted. They're a very good deal on the hardware, and yeah, they come with sometimes a pretty awesome promo like that, that 321 deal that you capitalized on.
And Henry, if I may, and if correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually the drives are all new. It's the chassis. It's some work in the chassis that's been refurbished. Really, I don't know if it's fans or what have you, but they're bulletproof. I have they're fully supported. Uh, you guys stand by them. I'm fully confident in the refurb units, so no one should be like, "Oh, this thing is whatever." No, they're good stuff. They're solid,
Yeah,
and they ship the same.
I appreciate you saying that, and it is actually kind of a meme at this point how indestructible the chassis is, because I've seen a stack about 5 or 6 miners high, which at that point, I mean, it doesn't take too long to figure out that all of the cumulative weight of 5 or 6 miners is all on that poor bottom one, and it's still it's like a tank. I mean, yeah, I have something stacked on top of my Examiner that I have here, and well, I don't know, I can't necessarily condone having a weight bearing Examiner or a load bearing Examiner. The chassis are pretty built, and
And currently, I'm going to be switching up. I was on Spectrum, which was like a cable um, internet provider. I have now fiber available race, so I'll slowly transition them over to there. And when I do that, I saw that cleaning video, so I'll clean each one. I haven't touched them. They just go. I think my most difficult issue initially on the first unit was the port forwarding, which I think we all experienced. Um, and that's pretty much if you know how to set up one XA miner, you can set up 10. It's pretty simple now.
it,
Um,
yeah, that's right. The port forwarding isn't that hard. It's just that most people have never done it before. So once you figure it out the first time, it doesn't really get any harder than that. Um,
right, right.
yeah.
And I
So
don't know if you, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if you remember, we met at NAB.
yeah, I
So,
do remember that. Well, I did
yeah,
meet a lot of people, but yeah, no,
right,
there's
right,
still
right.
some there's still some people in our community that I see every day or a couple times a week, and I think, oh yeah, I've seen their face. Um,
Right.
they came out. So we've covered your storage providers. As we alluded to earlier, you also have a ASIC miner arriving as well. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's correct. I kind of, um, well, going a little backtrack. So that one holiday weekend, right, researching different miners and projects, got into ASIC miners and everything's like 220 and hash rate. It's like, that's more than I want to handle, right? And of course, those miners are several $1,000s. And I was like, I wasn't ready to bite into that. Um, so then just looking at the AZAC channel and seeing, hey, what's going on there? And starting reading about, oh, these mini boxes are now available, 120 units. I'm like, huh, okay, what's up with this? So I saw that and coupled with um, the market, I've bought some chunks, not like, you know, for my means, a decent amount SCP, and I let it sit there, and I was stopped buying at when it was like $1.05. Um, so there's that. But I started rebuy. Um, I was hearing the chatter about the 1.5 collateral, um, and I exchanged some of my rebates on some of the machines on one of the machines for SPF. So I was like, hey, this is a good time. I bought some more SPC. Well, I thought this miner, everything works out. If it, you know, does 7 to 8 coins a day, okay, that's 240 a month. It'd be a nice way to gain some collateral without just, paying the gas fees of buying it on the open market through trade org.
Yeah, that's right. I do have some thoughts kind of around ASIC mining. So you mentioned earlier that yeah, a lot of the ASICs on the market today, especially the high end ones, are yeah, they run exclusively on 220 or 240 volt. They pull like 2 to 3,000 watts, which very few home setups could reasonably support. And that's been kind of interesting because I've been around. I first got into crypto kind of 2017, and the trend at that point was that there were still at that point, ASICs were getting hot and loud and pulled a lot of power, but it was still reasonably a setup that you could maybe run in a garage. So the S11 that I think a lot of people here might have heard of or are familiar with, that was kind of from that
Yeah.
era where it was just kind of like you could support it at home, but it would be pretty much all that would be running on that circuit. But the trend really became, and this was pushed by the manufacturers, that they kind of almost doubled up those miners. So it went from like 1,000 to 1,500 watt miners. It almost jumped double to like 2,500 to 3,000 watt. And also, coincidentally, the miners physically seemed to be twice the height. So I think they were literally just stacking two miners like paired together, like Siamese twins, and were selling it as one. So they became very expensive, pulled tons of
Hmm.
power, but did also have pretty incredible hash rates. It's just a shame that they kind of excluded a lot of the home mining, which is what I mean. This was before my time, but looking back at like 2014, 2015 miners, they were almost exclusively home miners because that's where people uh, that's the kind of level that people were doing operations back then. So it has been cool for the last 2 years or so to see Goldshell kind of come in and recognize the need for or the demand for home type mining. So they have a number of options, kind of around 1,000 watts or less. They have these box series, which yeah, are all under 500 watts and can run on power supplies that aren't super specialized. Like you can just go to eBay or Best Buy or something and get a power supply that's compatible with it. You can just put it in a corner. They're not super loud. Um, Whereas, yeah, some of those industrial 3,000 watt miners, you don't want to be anywhere near that thing.
Right. And going back, and I was just rethinking, like, you know, what my strategy was, if I have a strategy of getting involvement. Um, you know, Buying SCP on the open market, like I mentioned on gas fees, that can be intimidating. Like how you get your your currency onto the market. Like I have to go through crypto.com, then I transfer it to TradeOrg. Used to be SouthX, right? But I try, support TradeOrg.
Yep, yep.
Um, so I was like, man, that's a big chunk up front. So I looked at the XA miner. Well, it's we know it's a data storage device, and I kind of think the name throws people off, but you are mining with it in a way, right? You store the data and you get paid in coin, SCP. And okay, sort of mining, if you really want to go there, and it was like it's a 120 option, it's quiet, right? I mean, relatively quiet. The fans have changed, but still, the I I sleep. It's like white noise. It doesn't affect anything. So going back is like, okay, it is mining. You're earning it. Yeah, the ratio changed, right? As the market fluctuated. I'm getting more coin right now, as it is for the value, but it's going to be always there. So I don't have to keep buying, putting my spot order in or ask and sell and all that stuff. The SCP is coming. The data is coming. SCP is coming. And, you know, that's okay. That's why I kept on buying more XA miners versus just buying SCP. And that's why, again, the refurbished deal, the Black Friday deals, that's helped with that.
Yeah, I think you have the right idea. I maybe come from a similar place where over the years I've done a bit of trading, I've done a bit of mining, I've done storage providing. I've gotten exposure to kind of all the different ways that you could earn SCP. And yeah, all of them have their strengths and kind of weaknesses. So this proof of work mining, yeah, the coin yield, like the amount of coins that you are mining a month, is kind of variable, and it largely depends on factors like the network, um, like how much competition there is with other miners. Whereas something like an examiner, and I think we've touched on this before, but you're right that it isn't a conventional miner in the normal sense, that it isn't like crunching numbers, um, like mining blocks and getting a reward for that. You're hosting storage, but around when we were branding the X miner, kind of coming up with a name for it, and it was hitting the market, it was that was around, I think, when helium was kind of taking off, and it became uh, more acceptable around that time to use the term mining for something that just kind of really was passive income. So
Right.
that's where it kind of factors in with the Examiner name, even though it is just storage providing. But I think it gets across the idea that this is kind of a passive income device that you set up kind of once and then let run for a long time, check in on it. But yeah, it largely just kind of goes from there. Uh,
I'm sorry. I just want to compliment you guys. There's only two things left. Things evolve, but there's only two things left I have to do. I really need to do the SCP University. I have a very layman's, opinion of the project and how everything works, and it's cool. But I think that's a great thing. So if I'm involved, I think everybody, if you're involved, should do that. And then I'm a little intimidated of standing up a relayer because I really don't myself. It's funny. I don't really have any data I can think of that I would put on uh, through the relayer. but I'll probably do one eventually because I do like the affiliated program that's been, put out there. You give providers an opportunity to be involved in the project. So that's a compliment to Ken and you guys, the team. Uh, and I just really want to thank the community. Everybody I've talked to, Flux, Sparky, they've helped me on every bumps in the road. I met Andy; he's great. Roll, it's a really good community, solid support, and I think you guys can go far. And I think everybody, if you're in the community, what can you do to further it? There's little things we can do. Just talking it up or retweeting, do something. Uh, I'm not saying pump it. I'm just saying, get the word out. But I wanted to thank everybody for their help.
Yeah, those are very kind words. I appreciate you saying them, and I know that yeah, to our support team, the people that are doing the fighting in the Discord every day and helping people out, they always appreciate being thanked for their work. And I've been on both sides of that. I've been sometimes in the Discord before, needing help, and I always appreciate when someone takes time out of their day to do that. So thank you for those kind words.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So at this point, the last question, I think we've kind of touched on some elements of it, but what was your goal when you began storage providing, and how has that changed?
Uh, okay. Well, it wasn't the whole Lambo thing. Everybody says win moon, win Lambo. I kind of joked win Ram. I was like, let's ramp it down a little bit, right? And now
Yeah.
Ram trucks are like crazy. But of course, looking at the passive income, the initial calculator, right? You see that and that like, what? Is this real? Wait a second. What's going on? And everybody, in the Discord, it was hashed out and stuff. But it was like, okay, if I had one of these boxes and I could make, I don't know, 600 bucks a month, that's not too shabby. Um, some of those things were tampered down, and I think reasonably so. Like, hey, it's got 5 years. So each time they repurchase, purchase an XA miner or reinvest by buying some SCP, I try to push out that window 5 years. My 5 years restarts because I'm reinvesting. I restart those 5 years. Um, I'm looking forward to the announcements. Um, I think that 600 is still a very attainable goal. I know we're in a bear market, and that's been explained. And um, were there missed opportunities? Sure, like everything else. But the other part, I think people don't really realize is how you guys have bootstrapped this. My understanding, SCP, XANet doesn't owe anybody. It's all fully contained. The SPF, wow, what an opportunity, right? Um, and even that was like, hey, that's 400 million shares are out there, and half are going to be kept by the company, and this is what it is. But in 5 years, what could it be, right? Uh,
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
right.
hope to be
So
in. I hope to be involved in 5 years and see where it's at, But that's how I take it. I would, I think reasonably, I don't know. I think each box could do those numbers that I thought. I think those numbers are still attainable. Um, I'm very excited to see us go from, I don't know what, we're roughly what, 16 or 2,000 nodes out there, providers.
yeah,
Um,
closer to 3,000 actually.
3,000. Okay. I can't wait till that's times 10. I think, I think we could be 5,000. That's attainable goal by end of next year. December 2024, we definitely should be at 5,000, I hope. And then times that by 10, you know, it could it could be amazing things here. And people, again, I go back, spread the word. You never know who you meet, that contact, what they're involved in. Um, some people, I've talked to one gentleman that they're very into the DoD data security, right? And like, one of those Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies, how they do that with uh, refrigeration, keeping the drivers all cool. We're not that. We are very eco-friendly. But there's definitely a niche in this market for us. And we just have to support the project and get the word out. And I hope everybody's with us in 5 years and we have 50,000 members on Discord in 5 years. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brad. I think you covered a lot
You're
of
welcome.
good points, and yeah, I'm very excited for the future. So we're at this point kind of now where each month, the price per terabyte on storage is like 30 to 40 SCP. But if you remember when you joined our project, maybe what the coin price was worth uh, then
Yeah,
30 to 40 SCP.
it was
So
about 55 cents to 60 cents or so, I think, right around that time. And I just started to go up. And I mean, it went up to the $3 thing, right? Which I was like, wow. But, I wasn't mad either way. Uh, if you're a provider, I mean, if you're a provider, please stay a provider. You have the machine, you have the rebates, um, buy some collateral, and sit back and just give it time. We all get frustrated. Oh, they could do this, they could do that. Well, we're not doing the work, but that's the passive part. I see the meetings, like you had client engineering. You guys are doing stuff. Um, just be patient is what I think we have to be. And you know, at the end of this year, who knows? We could be 5 pp. Who knows?
yeah, I hope so. And if we're at the point where at the end of the year we're at 5 PB, I think people will look back at the events coming up in the next couple of weeks of that breaking through that 2 PB milestone, those major relayer launches, total like S3 app guides that are community sourced, but are a wealth of information for a ton of different uses for relayers. I think people are going to kind of look back as that being a catalyst, and that's kind of when things started going that direction. So thanks for coming up, Brad. I
No,
will.
you're welcome. Thanks for the invite. And again, I appreciate everybody on the Discord and the team. And thank you again, Henry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers. I will let you remain up here. So if you want to contribute to our next discussion, you're certainly welcome to. But I did want to kind of give room for the audience if they had any questions or comments or wanted to discuss any of what's happened in the last 2 weeks. I haven't seen the crypto market or the this kind of Web 3.0 space. I haven't seen any of it so worked up in a while. It seems like nobody's sure whether things are going to go up or down. Um, but very exciting. Bitcoin had a somewhat unexpected run up to like 26,000. Um, seems like there's a lot going on, and personally, I'm not really sure what to make of all of it. Fortunately, we're in a position where it doesn't necessarily affect our day to day. So I'm not an NFT trader. I'm not any of that. So we're in a place where we can just kind of stay to the work that we have in front of us here in the Discord, but certainly we're not totally uninvolved in the macro either. And uh, a bull market emerging from here would potentially open doors that wouldn't otherwise, and it would be kind of interesting. So give a chance up here for anybody that has any questions in either the chat, or you can stick your hand up and I'll bring you on stage.
Uh-oh.
Hey Ken, how's it going?
It's good. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well.
Great.
I missed part of the call. I had another thing, and I'm gonna have to run in about 20 minutes if this goes a bit long. But I wanted to come up because I wanted to talk about next weekend and let people have a little bit more information about what's going on over that weekend and what it's going to look like and why you might want to attend. And this information will all get pumped out over the next couple of days as well into our socials. But we always want to kind of share first here with the people that show up for these live. So I thought I'd kind of go over a few things, and I think you're going to be excited about most of them. Um, so Papa Bravo is our marketing foray into the 2 petabyte um, breakthrough, and I'm sure Henry's talked about that at pretty good length in this call. Um, just to dispel the myth, no, we didn't like purposely hold the data at 1.99, and we're just waiting to pull the trigger to push it past 2 petabytes. It's just kind of worked out that way. We had a budget that we felt we could support in terms of, seeding data for the first, year, whatever period. And we've got to, move past that, obviously, and with real customer data, because we just don't have the coins to essentially do it ourselves. You know, I hope everybody here sort of understands how this works. As the price of the coin goes down, essentially what ends up happening is, we have to put more and more SCP into the contract to cover that 2 petabytes that's already out there that you're getting paid for. So if the coin price was to drop to a penny or something like that, we'd run through the rest of our treasury pretty quickly over the next, several months. And so I'm watching that like a hawk right now. And you've noticed I'm not really out there pumping the coin. I'm not trying to convince you guys to keep the coin price up. If it's going to sell off, it's going to sell off. I've learned now over the last couple of years that really it doesn't matter what I say or do. It doesn't matter what anybody says or does. If the coin price is going to sell, it's going to sell. And if it's going to go up, it's going to go up. So I'm just making people aware of what the ramifications of it are. But that sounds pretty dire. So I do want to cover what we expect to sort of do over this coming weekend, and how we expect we're going to tackle. It's not a problem, but we'll call it a problem. How we're going to tackle this whole very challenging sort of place we're kind of in right now as we wait for markets to turn and customers to show up. So the first thing is, this is kind of going to be a capstone event as far as I'm concerned. It's sort of like the end of this phase. It can't call this phase one because phase one was all of those people that were in the 300 providers that were here for the first 2 years, right? Those folks, including some that are in this channel, in this audience right now with us, were phase one. And we kind of concluded phase one with them in that fall, winter of 2021. And all of those people ultimately ended up ROIing several times over, in that run up, because they were here in that early period and ended up, having quite a bit of, SCP sacked away from all of the things we did, both the promotions, because we used to do a lot of promotions, and also because of the providers that they were able to run and so forth. So I look to this to be that. This is the end of phase two. And phase two was sort of that run up to exponentially above from 300 to 3,000. And the nice thing about, the run up from 300 to 3,000 is it's not 7,000 or 10,000 or 1 million, or some crazy number like that, because we're already seeing all of the fallout, from these other projects that overbuilt and overdid what they did. Well, we made a strong decision not to do that. And everybody knows that it probably costs us some money. But we don't have a whole bunch of people banging on our door right now, screaming at us saying, we're all fraudulent and, here's a lawyer and a subpoena and blah, blah, blah. Because it isn't. We're building a network, we're building a product. It just took us longer to get the product out the door. So this is a good end of phase one. Why? Because the product really is at that point now where we can go out and feel good about actually selling it to people and bringing in real money into the company and bringing real storage onto the network. So it's a good time for this. So it's not going to be really a big marketing event towards selling storage to people, though we will do some things very clearly related to that. It's primarily about, showing love to you guys, right? To paying respect and saying, look, this is the deal. And so there's going to be a lot of giveaways, right? We're going to have a lot of live Saturday giveaways where you have to be there to win. We'll have some where you don't have to be there to win, but we want to really try and draw as many people into this thing as possible. We're going to do a complete end-to-end walkthrough of the entire product, right? We're going to go through all of the products from start to finish, and we're going to show you exactly what it looks like and how it works, because a lot of you folks might be running providers but not running relayers. A lot of you may be mess around with relayers, right? But not really understand exactly how it's all supposed to work. Some of you may be partners, but some of you may not be. And the partners have really interesting insights in how we expect to onboard data. And we're going to walk through all of this. We're going to cover it all for you to show you end to end how this thing is expected to work and what our strategy is as we start to move forward into the go-to-market phase and start to bring people onto the network. And so if people show up that are potential customers or partners that can sell data, then that's good because they'll get that nice, sort of end-to-end model as well, which we'll probably record. So definitely something I think you want to show up for just for the giveaways alone, but also so you can actually see what we built, right? You can really kind of get an understanding of what we built, and you can hear us put the narrative behind it and why we built things a certain way and why things do what they do and what the goals and the roadmap and so forth are for. So I'm going to do something here that we haven't done in this session. I'm going to share my screen with you. I don't know if you're all on phones or not, but I'm sharing my screen right now, so I assume most of you can see it. Essentially, this is the new SCP website, and is what it is. What I wanted to do is I wanted to go over this here real quickly. I'm not going to go over all the items, but I want to talk a little bit about this because this is also what we'll spend a lot of time on Saturday. I expect Saturday to be about 2 hours in length. It's going to be a real fun time because in that 2 hours, you're going to have a chance to walk away with some pretty cool stuff. And all you got to do is listen to me and Henry and whoever else ends up on the call with us as guests and presenters talking about the project, which, I'm sure nobody ever gets bored of around here. But I think this roadmap, this is the first time it's actually been live and you've actually had a chance to see it. And there's a lot of stuff in here that's pretty interesting if you really want to know what it all means and what it all means to the network, what it all means to bringing customers aboard, what it means to our ability to be successful with our strategy is the way we've outlined it. So we're going to go over this at length in that call and we'll talk about it. And the part I wanted to kind of talk about just a little bit right here is this part at the very bottom in Q2 24. And it's not really Q2 24. If things go well for us in 2023, if we find the investment that we're looking for, and I've got some good news about that here, and I'll share that in a minute. But if we find the investment that we've been looking for, and we can really start to scale up the team and get us to where we need to be, those balls could be rolled forward, and we could move a lot of the things in those last 2 or 3 into the first 3 or 4. And it's that last one that's really interesting, though, because once we get this whole thing operational and we're selling a whole bunch of storage and we've got MSPs all around the globe that are, signing on as partners and doing the whole thing with selling storage on our network, and you really want to hear how that works, by the way. So I don't want to tease this Saturday thing, but you really do want to hear how that works because it's going to explain to you how that $500-600 a month thing that Viking was talking about is going to happen. So what happens though is after that first year, when we have a lot of customers onboarded and the S3 layer is functioning and people are uploading with Veeam and with surveillance tools and media asset managers and media and entertainment people are uploading like films and shit like that, and all the stuff is really kind of just functioning really well from a just foundational S3 layer. That's when the sky opens up, right? That's when we really start to see the true potential here, because we can all make a lot of money just selling cloud storage. Wasabi's doing that right now. They've decided, look, we're not even going to try for any of the other services and products because at the end of the day, we'll just focus on being Amazon 80% off, and we'll just go out and try and get all the cloud storage and say the hell with the rest of it. It's a great idea. I mean, it's okay. It's a thing to do, but look, we're going to build a hyperscale network. We already have a global network. So the next step is when we get to 30,000 providers, right? And we have a ton of capacity around the globe. Now the next step really becomes how do we start filling in the blanks of all of those AWS applications that are out there? And compute and block storage are just two of them. CDN, there's a database, there's all kinds of other ones that exist out there that we need to work through. DNS services, there's all kinds of different things that Amazon has built into their portfolio that we will be naturally positioned to replicate and do a very good job of. And of course, bring our specific feature set and benefits that they can't do, right? So I'm really excited to get to that place, because once we get to there, our name should be pretty well known in the world and in the industry at that point. And at that point, all sorts of potential possibilities will open up for you guys. Things like that Examiner Extreme, that's targeted right exactly at that compute and block storage and CDN type world that we're headed to. So some really cool stuff that we're going to share in detail on Saturday. I know I've teased a lot of it right now and probably leaked more than I intended to, but I really want to try and get you guys to show up, and I do also want to see as many people as we can see there. Also turns out there's a guy in Texas who bought 5 Examiners. I guess he runs a Harley dealership, or he's got some kind of, I don't know what the deal is. He's a motorcycle dude though, right? And the deal is that I've tried to contact him because it turned out he won the 100,000 SPF draw for that little window of Examiners that were sold in the Black Friday sale. And he won't respond to any emails or contacts, and I don't know who he is here in the Discord, even if he is in the Discord. So his 100,000 got put off to the side, and now it's essentially waiting, and it's going to be turned into another 100,000 that will end up going. We'll redraw on that, since the address it got accidentally sent to didn't work, and it will go to another one of those purchasers in the Black Friday sale. So you definitely, if you bought a unit, you're probably going to want to tune in just for that. But because everybody felt so envious of you guys, we're going to make another 100K available, and that will be done in one throw. So there'll be a big 100,000 grand prize for people that are in attendance on the Saturday event. It won't be the thing. You must be present to win on that thing. There will be other smaller amounts and smaller, license giveaways, other kinds of giveaways that we have put together. The outreach contest is going to conclude. That giveaway will happen. The 2 petabyte contest will conclude. That will happen, and that giveaway will be there. And those are ones that you can claim the prize even if you're there or if you're not. But for the big 100,000, you're going to have to be in the room to attend. So I highly recommend you attend this event, if I can't, say that one more time. But on Sunday, we're going to have a poker tournament, and you probably don't want to show up for the poker tournament, because one of the things that's really kind of been proven true over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks as we were testing out this poker software, is that none of you know how to play poker. I don't know how that works. I don't really understand. I'm from America, so I mean, we grow up playing poker, right? But I'm just so much better than anybody that's played in the games. I don't even, none of you want to show up. It should just be me playing myself in the entire tournament. Or you guys can come and try and take away a whole bunch of extra SCP, SPFs, licenses, and other things that we're going to be giving away at the prize pool of the tournament. And another thing that's going to happen in both of these events, I haven't quite made everybody aware of this, but I have a little bit. We'll have several people from the team in both events. And it won't be everybody. And, we'll see who shows up on which day and which other day. But the team members that do show up for the poker tournament, right? If you knock them out of the tournament, you'll get some real special prizes. So it's going to be a real headhunting thing. And I think you're going to really want to show up for that and have fun at it. And, I'll probably win it. But if I don't win it, one of you guys will win it, and it'll be really fun. So you don't have to be good. You don't have to understand how to play. Truly, it's just mainly to have a good time and get together and generate a little bit of community. But I think this thing about the team being participating in these 2 events is going to be a pretty useful thing, because you guys don't talk to the team very much. The only time you talk to the team is when something's wrong. And I don't really like that, right? I think you should get to know the team in other ways and in other places and other sort of things. I'm not saying the team's going to start showing up and shit posting every day, because they're not. But I think you'd like to get to know some of our team members, and these will be good opportunities for that to happen. So that's all I wanted to cover. I have a actual sales meeting. Actually, I do have one last thing I do want to cover, and that's that thing I talked about some potential good news. Um, so I've had a couple of meetings this week with. Hang on a quick second. My dog just my dog just decided she was going to start chewing up one of my walls, which is new for her. So I have to stop her from that. So hang on a second. Um, Puppy life. What's been happening over the last couple of weeks is I've been reaching out to a lot of people about bringing money into the company. And essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to resist getting on the venture capital train. We're still trying to bootstrap, as Viking had talked about. We raised a grand total of $1.5 million, and we built this whole AWS competing network. That's just insane. It's an insane situation that we've taken $1.5 million and we built out what is essentially something that can go head to head with Wasabi, Backblaze, whoever. And if you don't think it can go head to head, then you better show up Saturday to see the whole thing in action, because you can't say it's not true because it all works now, and it works perfectly suitable for what it's built to do. So the deal is I feel real comfortable now going out and actually talking to potential investors and so forth. But also I feel pretty comfortable in starting to talk to real people in the business. All due respect to everybody in the community, but we don't have an awful lot of really deep MSP types, people that are cloud service professionals, people that are out there doing the kind of work day in and day out to sell cloud storage services. So it's nice now to kind of get out there and start talking to those folks who have that potential. Well, I had a really good call yesterday with one of those who runs a very large MSP and essentially is partnered up and allied with some even bigger MSP people, all the way up the ladder. There are stratas of MSPs out there. There's the big guys, the ConnectWises, the Kaseas, the big guys. Then there's the middle layer ones, which are all these sort of private agencies around the country, world. And then there's just the one-offs, right? People that are one or two man shops that just go out and just do a lot of consulting work, right? So there's all that up and down the ladder. Well, this guy was in that middleware zone, but he knows a lot of people in the upper levels into the bigger companies, the bigger organizations. And we walked all the way through the product, start to finish, and he was taken by it. He said, "Yeah, this is a great idea." And what we have built for these partners, by the way, is something that they don't have anywhere else. They can't get what we're giving them anywhere else. We can help them get storage down to $0 a terabyte, right? Nobody else can do that. Or we can get it to a situation where they can turn around and sell storage to their customer base who trusts them at Wasabi pricing, $5 a terabyte, right? They can sell for $5 all day long, but if they set up the examiners the right way, if they set up licensing the right way, they can end up getting all of that $5 back, right? So they can be pocketing all $5 if they want to do it that way in order to be a very seriously profitable endeavor for them. Nobody else can do that for them. You sell Wasabi services, you get Wasabi for $5.24 and you have to sell it for $5.69. Well, the only way that works is if you onboard like hundreds and hundreds of petabytes. With our thing, if you onboard hundreds and hundreds of petabytes and you put enough mining resources behind it, it's crazy how much money these partners are going to make. It's insane exactly how profitable this thing's going to be. While at the same time, we don't have to deduct from you, right? So this was always the big challenge. I have one investor in our corporation who literally almost fought me on this, saying that if we aren't willing to give away our product for free and tell our storage providers, you guys, that you have to take a haircut and, oh, sorry, the original $5 a terabyte is no longer valid, that we have to give you a haircut and make you eat like $2 and take $2 a terabyte, or even worse, you're going to have to go for the first year or two and make $0 a terabyte while we give away the service free like Discord. Um, you know, this thing doesn't work. It blows apart. You guys all go away and say we're a bunch of fraudsters and fuck us. And that's not how we operate. We're going to give you the $5 we committed to, or at least we're going to give the good providers the $5 we committed to. We're probably going to tear off the network and start to say, well, look, if you're somebody who can't quite keep the uptime going, or if you're somebody who can't meet some of the requirements as far as, bandwidth for uploads and downloads, yeah, you might end up dropping down into a $3.50 to $4 tier. But that goes both ways. If you're somebody who builds, an all NVMe kit that's running on, symmetrical gigabit or higher, maybe you're coming up with 10G or something like that. Who knows? We probably can get you into a higher paying tier for the customers, and you're making more than the $5. You're making $6 or something along those lines, 6 plus incentives or something. So that's sort of the way we plan to do it. We'll cover all this on that Saturday, but this partner was taken. He saw it. He saw it instantly, and he said back, he said, now all we got to do is we've got to get this partner console screwed together to where we're getting all of the ability to really granularly put all of the mining assets that we are affiliated with under our flag. And, what we're thinking about there is, any customer that comes aboard under a partner can put 50% of their data on their own network, and then they can send the other 50% out to you guys, right? And every customer does that. That keeps the public network growing. The stuff that you guys are running keeps it growing, as well as it also allows them to buy storage at a severely discounted price, or even, as I said, down to zero. On a long-term basis, that 5-year model that Viking was talking about, these guys can turn cloud services into a profit generator. That's unheard of. What are you even talking about? Nobody has that. So the beauty of this whole equation rests on, we didn't go out and sell 100,000 miners or 1 million miners like Helium did without actually having a customer strategy in place and building out the infrastructure to onboard the customers. We're only going to grow the network at a pace that makes sense against the amount of storage that we onboard, because we want to guarantee that you guys are always on path to that ROI that we committed to back in the early days. We never committed to the calculator that said that you got a Lambo every month. We never committed to that. That was some other bullshit by some other dude. Our commitment was that if you stuck out with us for these period of time over a course of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that you were likely going to ROI your machines multiple times over. And ultimately, even after 5 years, you could just transfer the drives to new machinery, transfer the storage from those drives to new drives, and just keep ROIing the same data over and over and over again. Because a lot of data that goes online just stays there forever and ever and ever. And so that's kind of the deal. All right, long-winded explanation. I know, I'm sorry about that, but I really want you to show up Saturday. I want you to tell your friends to show up Saturday. I want you to go out and round up as many people in the community and have them show up Saturday. And it's going to be a hell of a time, and you're going to learn all about the project, the stuff you don't know already. And at the end of the day, it's going to lead us into the next phase of the project called Phase 3. So there you go. I'll turn it back over to my friend Henry.
Thank you, Ken. That was spectacular. And just like, well, I guess this call will be just like an Examiner toward the end. That's where it really became worth it and it got way better. So thank you for all of that. I'll kind of take us out from here. So I thought it was great that, a lot to unpack there from what Ken was saying. Obviously, we want very much for all of you who are either in the live audience or listening to the recording, come out to that Saturday, March 25th date. Pop into the Discord to see when exactly that's going to be. We'll make some noise. It won't be hard to find. But yeah, and I think it's also in light of some other events that have been going on lately in the broader market, really encouraging to see that kind of further commitment to the like $4, $5 terabyte kind of thing. Especially because I came across my news feed the other day that one of our major competitors is slashing what they're paying their providers, the people that are hosting data on their network, by between like 50% and 90% off, which is pretty significant. So that is a network where they factor out like it's not, they have egress fees, they have repair fees, so it's there's a couple different branches of what kind of data they pay you for, but uh, yeah, that's one where obviously their community is not very happy, and I'm feeling really lucky that we're in a place. Well, it's not luck; it's deliberate that we're in a place where we're not having to do that because we built it out the right way, and it's been slow, it's been painful. There are times I'm sure where people compare us to things like helium, which seemed to grow exponentially early on, but now I think helium's looking down like the fact that they're getting delisted from Binance, which is kind of frankly embarrassing. So, uh, yeah, thank you, Ken, for all of that. That's awesome news. Some really exciting stuff that, yeah, the stuff that I knew was kind of going on, but didn't know how much I could share in these calls. And it sounds like, yeah, so that Saturday event is really, you're going to want to be there. And then join us for poker afterward as well, because that's going to be fun. And apparently, if you knock me out of poker, you get a bonus. That's going to be fun. All right. So they'll yeah, we're going a little long now, so I think I'll take us out. Thank you everybody for showing up to the storage provider meetup. Stuff that we discussed. Um, Further commitment to the 1.5x collateral. We want to make sure that storage providers that are committing to being a good safe harbor for data are rewarded. That 1.5x is just good for the health of the network, so we're further committing to that. Take part in the SCP rig competition, so join the outreach channel. Look at the pinned message there. That's where all the information is. If you've kind of heard about this contest and you are wondering what's going on, yeah, join the outreach channel. Look at the pinned message. It has the info, but the gist of it is on whatever social media platform you prefer, Twitter, Facebook, whatever else is out there, use the hashtag SCPRig and just share a photo of your storage provider rig, and you are entered. I mean, there might be some other rules, but that's mostly it. And vacuum before you do it, because dusty storage provider rigs are not good. Other than that, we have that big event coming up March 25th and 26th. 2 Papa Bravo, lots going on there. On XNet services, the next 30 days are free. We have a major release coming next week. That'll be, yeah, significant usability and functionality improvements. That's one that we're really excited to put out. Hope that comes through just the way I've been talking about it in my voice. Really looking forward to that release. And yeah, thank you to the community members that have been contributing to the S3 guides. Excited to get those out there as well. And thank you once again to Brad for coming on here and telling us about yourself and your experience in our
You're
network.
very, you're very welcome. And thank you to Ken. Again, when I first did the first storage provider, we're being led by a dog. I mean, the community's great. So thank you and good luck. I'll be there Saturday for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for coming, and take care.